Octavia's Anthem Update 20.2 has arrived. What has it brought? Well, it's actually brought a new Syandana and armor set. The CENTURIA Syandana is actually, you can see the length of it. Just goes off the screen there. Not a bad looking thing. I like the way that it attaches more than anything else with that thing. And then obviously there is an armor set as well, the AVIA armor set. I'm curious as to how the chest for this actually fits, but while I'm in here, the Furis has apparently had a whole PBR treatment to it. Does look pretty much exactly the same, it's just the way that the light reflects off it, and that's not a weapon, that's Wukong's crotch. One thing people will notice is the boosters in the top right there. The UI's gone back to normal, the way it was before Update 20. That's because they've fixed it and added a slider that I will get to in a moment. But, oh yes, ones I don't have will appear at the bottom. Wow, that's actually longer than I thought it was. That's actually much longer than I thought it was. There are longer ones. I'm not really a fan of the insanely long ones though. So that to me is the perfect length, but it's just, it's too blank. I just wish you could put a sigil there, then it would look nicer. Or maybe if the three sheets here was separate to each other, that would also make it look so much nicer. But that's not why I am here. That is. And of course he had to be. I fired Wukong, he was useless. That. Okay, that is actually pretty subtle. Some of these are ridiculously big and just don't really fit that well. But that is very small and subtle. That's not bad. The arms, hopefully kind of the same thing. I don't know, I'm torn on that one. I've seen worse, so that's not that bad, but when I saw that, it just reminded me of the Halloween one. But actually, that's nicer than the Halloween one. And the legs. Now you see, no, it looks better on the leg than it does on the arm. I'll give it that much. The UI change is supposedly under interface, and menu scaling is here. You just set it to custom and you can change how big or small the scaling of the menus are. The UI. I'm just going to leave mine as it was. I'm not even going to bother saving that because they reverted it. This is all because of the 4K compatibility, or the 4K UI upgrade I should say. I would love to play this in 4K, maybe one day, just not anytime soon. There are also 4 new augments. Inaros, Nezha, Ivara and Titania have all had one each. Starting with Nezha's, the Pyroclastic flow, accumulate 150% of the damage Firewalker deals. It's a Firewalker augment, unleashed in a trail of fire that lasts 10 seconds. Firewalker leaves a trail of fire behind it as it's active. So that to me just sounds like how the ability works. But could, if it does do 50% extra damage, is still going to be useful, but it's just worded very weirdly. Negation Swarm is a Scarab Swarm Augment for Inaros, and this one looks interesting to me. It will cost 3% of the total Scarab Swarm, but that's an armor based thing, and it will consume this 3% to make you basically immune to status effects. Obviously if you get bombarded by them, it's going to take it off fairly quickly, but only taking 3% of the bonus armor for each effect it resists, that is going to be really useful against those high level infested that just spam status constantly. I didn't have to actually stop recording there. Ivara's for Navigator is actually the next one, Piercing Navigator. Each hit increases the projectile's crit chance by 10%, up to a maximum of 50%. The Navigator, of course, is the ability that she has to allow you to control projectiles. Bullets don't really work. This is best used on arrows. It just seriously best used on arrows. It works on other things, but it just works so much better on arrows. So that 50% crit chance on something like the Paris or the Dread, which can have a decent crit chance anyway, could make it really useful for crit. Though fitting it, that could be a bit of a pain. And then, of course, there is Beguiling Lantern. I'm just trying to remember. Yes, this is number 4. It is obviously the Lantern Augment for Titania. Attracted enemies take 100% more melee damage. That's basically twice the damage, and with the fact that you can now go above 4 times, what do you want to call it, the melee combo counter, damage increase counter even, that is actually going to be really, really useful. That's a pretty decent augment, but at the same time, Octavia could have one worded exactly the same for her first ability. Weirdly, recorded this the 10th, I think it was, and this is the mobile defense that I went in to demonstrate the you can choose between different points to go to, because in the Remote Observer Volume 2 it says PC, what is to come, mobile defense changes, console objectives will be enabled one by one in sequence. And when I went in to get footage of them showing more than one at a time, this system was already in the game. It was weird. I'm glad this exists, because there's been a few times I've missed A, gone B, gone C. I know they're not actually named B and C. I've gone for the second one, then the third one. Had to run all the way back for the first one, to run all the way back past the second and third one to the exit. So this is a system that I actually really like. As always, there will be a link to the forum post for more information on fixes. From it just says a rare crash that occurred while playing the new Strange quest, to things like Octavia's ability effects and music continuing after the host is migrated. So even though the ability's not going, the music was still going. That has apparently been fixed as well. There's also a change to the doors, which I do need to mention. Instead of doors lighting up red if you can't go through them, they just won't light up at all anymore. Locked doors will appear as off with no colour on instead of glowing red. But lastly, there is a new quest that you can replay. It's not a new quest, it's an old one, but you now have the ability to replay the new Strange quest. This is obviously the one that you have to do to get Chroma. And there's the button there, replay quest. This explains why the aforementioned fix for the rare crash that occurred when playing the new Strange quest has been fixed, because you can go back and replay the quest. This is actually pretty good considering his skin came out last week, and his deluxe skin looks absolutely amazing. His normal skin isn't that bad, but his deluxe is much nicer. So we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.